Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom. Welcome to Less Than 10 Minutes. My name is Symmanayah, and today is July 30th, 2013. This is Words to Yashar'al, Nation of Believers. And if you're tuning in for the first time, you will come to know that Yashar'al, of whom I am referring, are those who seek to worship and obey Almighty Yahuah and accept Yahusha as Mashiach, as our Messiah. This is the family of whom I speak. Let all actions of righteousness, let all that we do, all in our communications, let in our worship and obedience, it lift up Yahusha, our Mashiach, Messiah. We lift him up in our obedience and worship. With that said, this segment is entitled Almighty Yahuah's Word, Water, Quail, and Manna. Prepare for adjustments. For those of you who have listened to my recordings, you may have seen a similar recording on the same subject matter. The same subject matter, a matter of preparing our minds, our bodies, our soul to make adjustments, to adapt to the righteous guidance of the Spirit of Yahusha as things press forward into these last days and these end times. So this is not the same exact recording, but the subject matter addresses the same. Are you ready? Are you prepared to make adjustments from business as usual? Let us begin with some verses, and I want to open it up with a question. How does man live? How does man live? Deuteronomy 8:3 reads as follows: And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuah. That was Deuteronomy 8:3. Matthew 4:4 reads, But he answered, said, this is the Mashiach talking, It has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuah. Luke 4:4 reads, But Yahusha answered him, saying, It has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth, but by every word of Alahym. We've read of times past when the people faced famine and drought, widely because of their rebellious behaviors and actions. Scripture also revealed that man can be humbled during extreme famine, food shortages. In Genesis 47 chapter, specifically the 19th verse, we see people willingly giving themselves over into slavery. Are there promises that we will not witness famine or drought in our time? Can you find that in Scripture? If you're paying attention to the signs and times, your answer should be no. Do Scriptures state that there will be two witnesses of the Most High Father who have the ability to stop the rain, create or cause plagues, turn rivers into blood, initiate and or call fire to come down from the sky, and more? Do Scriptures mention that in the last days there will be wars and rumors of wars? Who has given thought to what is really fueling wars? Can a lack of fresh water and food make one angry? Can an absence of things that we have grown accustomed to having result in furor, altered behaviors? Who has asked themselves, what else can and will be expected of the two witnesses upon their emergence? What will be that's believers who are alive during this time, responsibility during the time when the witness emerge? When these scriptures are fulfilled, what would be our responsibility? If Yashar'al is to be gathered, what will be the conditions of such a gathering as it relates to fresh water and food? Do scriptures state in any way, shape, or form that we will find favor and possess the finest foods and beverages in these last days? I don't think so. What takes priority? Pure worship and obedience to the Most High Father Yahuah through the mediation, living instructions, and guidance from the Spirit of Yahusha? or us trying to save our own lives with preferred food and drink. Let me read an account dealing with water. Exodus 17th chapter verses 3 through 6 reads, "And the people thirsted there for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe and said, Why did you bring us out of Mitzrayim," which many of you know as Egypt, "to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" Then Moshe cried out to Yahuah, saying, "What am I to do with this people? Yet a little, and they shall stone me." And Yahuah said to Moshe, "Pass over before the people, and take with you some of the elders of Yashar'al, and take in your hand your rod, with which you smote the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall smite the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink." And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Yashar'al. Here we see where death and water was discussed in the same passage. And we see where, when it came to a practical necessity, the Almighty Father provided us with water. An account of quail and manna. Exodus 16:11 through 15 reads, "And Yahuah spoke to Moshe, saying, I have heard the grumblings of the children of Yashar'al. Speak to them, saying, Between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahuah your Alahym. And it came to be that quails came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. And the layer of dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance as fine as frost on the ground." Some translations will say manna. "And the children of Yashar'al saw, and they said to each other, What is this? For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, It is the bread which Yahuah has given you to eat." Yes, my brothers, I've spoken on this before because I was compelled to. And I started not to present it again. The same matter of water, quail, and manna, preparing for adjustments. But it was pressed upon me. And so, again, this subject, this topic is revisited. I strongly encourage each believer to, at the very minimum, prepare their mind, body, and soul for adjustments to conditions that are soon to come. In abrupt change, attitudes and emotions tend to fly. Conditions such as shortage and availability of fresh water in our food can make an impact on how we govern ourselves. Consider the diverse uses of fresh water. Can you imagine that fresh water restrictions can impede one's ability to wash, bathe, in, or shower frequently? Can you imagine what it will do to our ability to gather among one another if we have not been able to wash, bathe, in, or shower? So in addition to consuming fresh water in our food, we may face some real social barriers in these last days. Mental and spiritual preparedness can lighten the shock of transitioning from business as usual, day-to-day routines, etc. Mental and spiritual preparedness could also contribute to us focusing on He who has the power to guide us in all things. Humble events are coming, my brothers and sisters. Prepare to make adjustments. Prepare to increase in discernment and witness the awesome living guidance of the Spirit of Yahusha. Though we are many members, remember, we do not all share the same office or designated position prescribed in or ordered by the Most High Father. Also, I urge each and every one of us to realize humility in or being humble does not mean being weak and gullible. Being humble is the ability to receive righteous instructions and execute right rulings in spite of our mistakes. In humility there is strength. All too often many people miss the true function of being humble. Humility brings about pause in our steps and our actions and the ability to identify what is righteous, even when we are caught up and think we are sure of our own behavior. The Most High Father is not slack concerning all that He has planned for our lives. Rise up, my brothers and sisters. Begin to seek actions that result with increased worship and obedience. Rise up, my brothers. Remember, The Most High Father is not slack concerning all that He has planned for our lives. Pray and watch. Not all will be walking the planet when things will become clear. People die in or sleep daily. Do not take for granted the breath, heartbeat, functional body that is received out of the favor from the Almighty Creator for granted. Do not take this for granted. There's much work to be done. Remember what is promised and come away from vain imaginations. Prepare to make adjustments. What's your position? What's your decision? Until next time, my brothers and sisters, be encouraged. And forgive me, this one did exceed 10 minutes. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.